following equation is a difference of two squares. Our equation is 18a squared subtracted by 338. Our first step is to factor out the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is the highest number that you can divide from both of these integers. In this case, it is 2. We end up with 2 multiplied by 9a squared minus 169. Both 9a squared minus and 169 are both perfect squares. They can be squared into whole numbers. We end up with 3a plus 13 multiplied by 3a minus 13. Because we cannot factor any further, our answer is 3a plus 13 multiplied by 3a minus 13.
My name is Shireen, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to factor a trinomial square. Now when you look at this equation, 8x squared minus 40x plus 50, you might wonder, how is this trinomial square? 8, 40, and 50 are not perfect squares. Well, in order to find a perfect square, you need to do the GCF. Now all of these numbers, 8, 40, and 50, can be multiplied by 2. So you'd apply the greatest common factor to the equation and get 2 times 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. Both 4x squared and 25 are perfect squares, so there you go, you have your trinomial square. But now you must factor it. So you'd get 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. Now how do we factor that? Well, you'd multiply 2x and you'd square 2x in order to get 4x squared. But why are you putting a minus 5 and a minus 5 for plus 25? Well, you have to put a minus 5 because these two have to add up to minus 20x. And so when you use the distributive property and convert it back to standard form, you get 2x squared, and so you get 4x squared, and then 2x times minus 5 is minus 10x, and then the terms in the middle, minus 5 times 2x would also be minus 10x. And then minus 5 times minus 5 is 25. And so you put them all together and you get 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. And there you go. You have your equation in the beginning. And then just multiply it by 2 to get 8x squared minus 40x plus 50. This is Shireen, and I've just taught you how to factor.
This is an easy problem. So here's my equation, 3x squared minus 48x plus 192. The first step in solving this equation is to find the greatest common factor, or the GCF. The GCF in this case is 3 because each number in the equation is divisible by 3. So once you have separated 3 from the rest of the equation and divided each number by 3, you can go to the next step, which is to find any integer of which the sum equals b and the product equals c. And so for that, in this case, it is negative 8 because negative 8 plus negative 8 equals negative 16, and negative 8 times negative 8 equals 64. So you drop down the 3 to where it was, and then you have x minus 8 times x minus 8. So the next step in this is because both x minus 8 appears twice in this equation, you can just add a square, which is another way of writing that. And so here's my answer, 3 times x minus 8 squared.
So I had grouping, and I'm Alexandra. So the equation is 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. So the first step is to find a GCF, but in this case, the GCF would just be 1, so you have to multiply the entire equation by 2. The next step is to take it, then you get 4x squared plus 10x minus 6. And then the third step is to take the GCF out of the equation, which is 2. So the rest is in parentheses, and you take the 2 out. Then you multiply a and c, and that's negative 6 right here. And you have to find two factors of negative 6 that will add up to the middle term, which is positive 5x. In this case, it is positive 6x and negative 1x. And once you substitute those two for 5x in the equation, and then you put parentheses and make two separate terms. Then you find the GCF of each separate term, which in this case is 2x, and this one is negative 1. Then you can, since these two terms are the same, you take one of them and put it in your answer, and then you take both GCFs from each of these terms and make it one parenthesis, and that's your answer.